Hello, I'm Linda Howe from Howe2Yoga. I've put together this program for the Silver Threads in Petawawa. It is mainly seated, kneeling, and standing poses. So if you have problems with your knees, a folded blanket or towel can be put on the mat for your knees. And if you have problems seated, when you're sitting on the ground and your back is rounding back a little bit, use a pillow or two to sit on the pillow when we come into a seated position. So pull up your mat and your props if you need any, and we'll meet on the ground or our practice. So we'll come to the ground, we'll bring our feet out a little bit in front of us, bringing the heels of our hands down beside us so that we can lift up our sitting bones and float them back. That's allow us to sit better on our sitting bones and supports our spine a little bit better. And once we're here, we'll just bring our feet into a comfortable cross-legged position for you. If it's not comfortable for your knees, you can have your feet out whichever way you feel good about. So we're trying to feel our sitting bones on the ground and the energy coming up through our spine, up through our shoulders, up through our neck, and out through the top of our head. As if somebody's pulling a string on the top of your head up towards the ceiling. We'll start off by breathing in and out through our nostrils. And as you're breathing, just notice if you can feel that your spine is lengthening on your inhale and condensing on your exhale. If a thought should creep into your mind, then just imagine it being a cloud and let it float across the horizon. Don't take possession of the thought. Then we'll articulate our spine, just slightly moving it from side to side. Notice if you have any spots or tightness in your spine as you're moving from side to side. And then when we come back up to sit straight again, we're going to bring our hands to our heart center and then inhale our arms up over our head. On the exhalation, they come down to our heart center. Inhale them out, exhale them in. Inhale them up, exhale them down. Inhale them out, exhale them in. And one more time, inhaling them up, exhaling them down. Inhaling them out, exhaling them in. And this time we'll clasp our hands and we'll move slowly from side to side, one side to the other side. So we're warming up our spine. We can start off with a very gentle twist and gradually make it bigger as your spine warms up a little bit. And then we'll change the clasping on our hands and continue moving from side to side. You may notice it gets a little bigger, or you're further twisting a little bit further to the side. And then when we come back into center, we're going to inhale our arms up over top of our head. And on the exhalation, we're dropping our top arm to our opposite knee and bringing the other hand on the ground. Inhaling the arms up, exhaling them down to the other side. Inhaling them up, exhaling them down, and then I'll let you go with your own breath because everybody's breath is a little different. Do it one more time each side, inhaling up, exhaling down, inhaling up, and exhaling down. And then we'll come over into a tabletop position, which means our hands are under the shoulders, our knees are under our hips, our back is as flat as we can get it. We are doing a cat and cow, which means that you're going to inhale, tucking your tailbone up to the ceiling, pulling your belly down, bringing your head of your arm bones back, and your neck comes up. And then exhale, tucking the tailbone under, feeling the action moving up your spine as you hunch your shoulders up, drop the head to look at your belly button. Inhaling, coming into the cow, the back bend, and exhaling, coming into the cat, the hunch. So I'll let you go with your own breath, inhaling to come into the cat or the back bend, and then exhaling into the hunch or the cat. And then we'll do one more each way, going into the back bend, into the cow, and into the cat, the hunch. And then we'll meet in flat back. We'll step forward with our left foot in between our hands. If you can't walk your foot up all the way, then tap it with your hand. So we are in a square lunge. We'll take a breath or two here. If you need to intensify the stretch, you can curl those toes and lift that back knee back a little bit further, getting a little bit more length. And for those people who want to, they can lift their knee off of the mat. So we're trying to isometrically drawing that back heel forward and bringing the front knee forward a little bit more. If you've raised your knee, we're dropping it to the ground and we're coming back into table position. And then we'll inhale and step our right foot forward. Again, you can use your hand or step it all the way up. We'll stay in the square lunge for a breath or two. If you want to, you can curl your toes, pulling that knee back a little bit further, bringing the knee down and resting the foot on the ground again. We're trying to squeeze the shoulder blades into the back and get the sense that your sternum is pulling up to your chin. And if you want to progress a little further, you can curl your toes, lifting the back knee off the ground. Isometrically draw the feet together as you pull the front knee forward and the back heel backwards. And then we'll come back into table position. And this time when we step our left foot forward, we're bringing it to the outside of our leg. And we're gradually trying to move the top of the leg in the hip socket. So we're trying to start the action at the top of the leg. You can keep your both hands on the ground. Technically, we are moving the ball of the femur in the hip socket. We're also moving the synovial fluid, lubricating our hip socket. So we'll go in the opposite direction, trying to get the action starting at the top of the leg. I know most of the rest of the leg moves a little bit. And then we'll come back into table position, and then we'll bring up our right leg. And again, start to circle that. It can be a small, lazy circle to begin with. We're trying to get the action at the top of the leg. And then we'll reverse direction, moving that synovial fluid around, lubricating that hip joint. And then we'll meet back in table position again, and we'll step the left foot forward again in between the hands. And then if you want, you can slide that back knee back a little bit further, and we'll bring our hands up onto our thigh, trying to chuck that knee above the ankle in line with your second toe, the one beside your big toe. You can have your back toes on the ground or the top of the ankle on the ground, whatever works best for you. So we'll take our right arm, the opposite arm for our front leg, to the knee, pressing the knee into the hand into the knee, and bring the other arm around behind you. Take a few breaths here. If it's available for you, we're going to see if we can turn a little bit more on our exhalation, each of our exhalations, starting maybe from the back of our spine, moving up gradually into our shoulders, and then the neck and head turn. And when we come back, we start with our head and gradually move down our spine, and then we'll bring our hands to the ground and come back into table position, stepping the left foot forward in between the hands. We can bring the hands up onto our thigh. We can move, we should have moved that knee back a little bit first. Then we'll take the left arm to the outside of the right knee, the back hand to the outside of the knee, pushing the knee into the hand into the knee, and the other arm comes around behind you. We've already started a twist, but if it's available for you, you're going to gradually turn from the back of your waist, moving your spine, sequentially up your spine, one vertebrae at a time, till you get to your shoulders, and then move a little bit more from your shoulders into your neck, and then your head turns. And when we come back, we start with our head and gradually move down our spine, and then we'll come back into table position. So from table position, we're going to come up onto kneeling on our knees and bring our hands together. So we're bringing the pads of our fingers together, the base of our fingers together, and the heel of our hands together. So we're pushing those parts of our hands together and spreading the fingers wide. These are downward facing dog hands. So now we're going to transfer our hands down onto the ground. And remember to press down on the pads of the fingers, the base of the fingers, the heel of the hands. And maybe you'll notice that the crease in your wrist is parallel to the front of your mat. Keeping the action of your fingers, we're curling our toes, pushing our sitting bones back towards our heels, and then see if we can lift our sitting bones up. So our first downward facing dog, we're going to keep our heels way off the ground. We want to get the length in the spine. The higher up you are, the easier it is to get the length in the spine. So see if you can feel from your tailbone all the way down to the crown of your head. You're in a nice V shape. Your ears are beside your upper arms. And then we're going to bring our inner thighs backwards and then lengthen our heels from our toe base down to our heels. And then we'll slowly walk our feet forward. So we're into a forward fold. Our hands are still on the ground. Our knees could be bent. And we're going to keep our fingertips on the ground. We're going to inhale up a little bit. So we get the sense that our back is flat, parallel to the ground. The shoulder blades are squeezing into the back. The side body is nice and long. And maybe you're feeling the sternum pulling to the front of your mat. Then we'll bend our knees, lifting our hands out in front of us. This is chair pose. Some people call it horseman's pose. Some people call it awkward pose. And then we'll inhale our arms all the way up to standing. And on the exhalation, we'll bring our arms down. We're going to turn out our left foot 45 degrees and step it straight back. So our feet are still hip-width apart. We may be feeling a little lengthening in the front of our groins here. And then we're isometrically drawing the feet together and then pull that front knee forward as the inner thigh rotates backwards. So we're going to check that our knee is above our ankle in line with your second toe. So all you may see is your big toe when you look down. Then we're going to inhale our arms up over top of our head. This time we're going to intertwine the fingers, pop the palms up towards the ceiling, and lengthen the arms up towards the ceiling. This is Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1 pose. And then on the exhalation, we're dropping our hands to our side, straightening out the knee, then inhaling the arms up, bending that front knee, making sure it stays above the ankle in line with that second toe, and then exhale, coming back up. And one more time, we're going to inhale up and exhale, coming down. And then we'll step that back foot forward. Now we're going to turn out the right foot 45 degrees, step it straight back. We'll hold here for a moment. If you're a little bit to the side, this is the hip that comes back. The right one comes a bit forward. Then we'll isometrically draw the feet together and pull the front knee forward as the inner thigh rotates backwards. Check to make sure that the knee is above the ankle, in line with the second toe, so all you may see is maybe a bit of a big toe. If we're out to the side, puts too much pressure in the knee. And then we'll inhale our arms up over top of our head, intertwine the fingers, and pop them up towards the ceiling. And then we'll inhale our arms down, straightening our knee, and inhale the arms up, bending the knee, exhaling the arms down, inhaling the arms up as you bend the knee, exhaling the arms down, and then step that back foot forward. So we're going to try what's called toe balance or Talasana. So we're going to see if we can lift up our heels so we come up onto our toe bases and then lower them down. And then lift up our heels and lower them down, lifting up the heels and lowering them down. And one more time, lift them up and come back down. So this time we're going to try and sit down, keeping our sitting bones above our ankles. We can bring our arms out in front of it as we come to bend our knees and inhale back up. Exhale, bending the knees. The arms can come out a little bit. Maybe you can get down a bit further. Inhaling, coming up. Then exhale, going down. One more time, coming up. And one more full pose, coming back into and coming back up. This time we're going to see if we can bring our sitting bones out behind, which means we'll bend a little bit more at the top of our legs. So we're bending our knees, bringing our sitting bones out the back, trying to keep our spine as straight as we can, and the arms can come out in front of you. They may frame your face beside your ears. Then we'll inhale back up, exhale, coming down, inhale back up, exhale, coming down, inhale back up, and one more time, inhaling up, arms up, exhaling with the arms down. Then we'll turn our left foot out to the side, stepping it straight back. We'll bend the front knee, and we'll bring the left hand over to the right knee. The right arm comes around behind you. So we can do our twist from here. If you want a little bit more challenge, a little bit more work, you're bringing the elbow to the outside of that knee, bringing the hand into a fist and pressing your other arm on it. Gradually see if you can continue to turn your spine so that your shoulder goes above your bottom shoulder. And then on our next exhalation, we're bringing our hands to the ground, framing just in front of our front foot, keeping our torso nice and long and straight, squeezing the shoulder blades into the back, feeling the side body nice and long, and then continue to fold. Some of you may be able to straighten the knee a little bit, and you may get the sense that your nose is going below your knee. And then we'll step our back foot forward. We're into a forward fold, Uttanasana, with the hands on the ground. And with the hands on the ground and the knees slightly bent, we're going to see if we can now start to straighten out our legs by bringing our kneecaps up towards our hips, our sitting bones up towards the ceiling, keeping the shoulder blades squeezed into the back, and maybe we can fold a little bit more. Then we'll bend our knees, bringing our arms up back into the chair pose, and then we'll inhale all the way up and bringing our hands down to our heart center. So now we're going to turn out our right foot 45 degrees, step it straight back, isometrically draw the feet together as you pull that front knee a little bit forward. Actually, it's the other foot, because I need to be turning the other way. So every once in a while I do that. So we're isometrically drawing the feet together. It's the left one forward and the right one back. We're going to bring that front knee forward. You can bring the left hand to the right hand to the left knee. The left arm goes around behind you. If you want a little bit more of a twist, you're bringing the right elbow to the left knee, pressing the elbow into the knee into the elbow. The other hand comes on top of your fist, and you're gradually turning. Then we'll bring our hands down to the floor, just a little in front of that first foot. Trying to lengthen your torso as far forward as you can, keeping the side body as long as you can. Get the sense the shoulder blades are squeezing into your back. And as you exhale, you may be able to fold more. You may notice that that front knee is straightening a little bit. You may get the sense that your nose is going below your knee. Then we're stepping the back foot forward, keeping our hands on the ground. See if we can bring our sitting bones up a little higher towards the ceiling, straightening our back a little bit. Trying to get a nice flat back, squeezing the shoulder blades in, and then gently fold forward. Bend the knees and bring the arms out in front of us into this chair pose again. And then inhale, come up all the way with the arms way up over top of our head. And we'll bring our hands down to our heart center. So we'll step wide astride on our mat. We are going to bend at the top of our legs, keeping our torso as flat as we can, side body long, the shoulder blades squeezing in. We're sliding the hands down our legs as far as they go. And then when you can get no further, you're bringing your hands to the ground, bending the knees. And once our knees are bent, we're going to just see if we can bring up our sitting bones again. Keeping our right hand in between our legs, we'll bring up our left hand towards the ceiling. And breathe. And then we'll scoop the left hand down, bring it in between the legs, and scoop the right hand up. Trying to keep the side body nice and long. Maybe you can get the sense that the shoulders are coming above the bottom one. And then exhale the arms down. And then we'll bring our knees up onto our thighs. And then we'll come all the way up to a standing position. Then we'll turn to the front of our mat again. We'll come into a forward fold, bringing our hands down to the ground, putting them flat on the ground because we're going back into a downward facing dog, stepping the right foot back, then the left foot back into a downward facing dog. When you look at your feet, maybe you'll notice when we look at our feet, you should see your toes but not your heels. So if your heels are out to the side, invite them to come back in. And then we'll bring our knees to the ground, and you can either side saddle, cross your ankles, and come back into a seated position. So in our seated position, we are going to bring our hands beside our hips again, lift up our sitting bones, and float them backwards. And remember, if you need to have a cushion when you're sitting, it's great to take the cushion and put it under your seat. So we're going to bend our knees, putting the right leg in front of the left leg. we're rooting down with the left hand on the ground and swoop the right arm up beside the ear, and then keeping both sides of the body long, we're bending over to the left. I usually move my hand out a little bit, otherwise I feel my left side body condense a little bit. Rooting down with that right sitting bone into the ground, and then on your exhalation, coming back up to center, and then taking that top arm, bringing it to the right knee. The right arm comes behind you, pushing down through your hands. Make your torso nice and long and straight, and then gradually twist, maybe from the base of your back of your waist up into your shoulders, then into your neck, and your head turns last. And then when we start on our exhalation, we're starting with our head coming back to center. So now we're trying to keep our side body long and our chest nice and lifted. So squeeze your shoulder blades into your back as you start to bow forward. So it's the pelvis that's rotating around the ball of the femur this time. And bring your arms out in front of you. You might be able to inch them forward a little bit on your next few exhalations. And then we'll gradually walk our hands in, coming back up to a seated position, and then turn our torso so that it faces along our left leg, and then keeping the side body long, the head of the arm bones back. You don't want to be rounded forward. You want them nice and far back, bringing the hands down beside you, and start to bend forward. Trying to keep that right sitting bone pulled to the ground. Your back as parallel to the floor as you can get it, or the ceiling. And then gradually come up. This time we're taking our torso over to the other side, pulling down on that left sitting bones as we tip the pelvis forward on a diagonal. So if your left shoulder has come up, see if you can invite it down so that you're more parallel again. We'll take a few breaths here. And then we'll gradually come up. Then we'll change the clasping on the leg so that the left leg is in front. We'll take the right arm down beside us, swooping up the left arm beside the ear, and then sprock that right arm up until you can stretch to the side, pulling down on that left sitting bone. Feeling both sides of your waist nice and long. And then we'll inhale, coming back to center, and then take the right arm over to the left knee. The left arm comes around behind you, so there's a little bit of pressure with the hand on the knee as you press out with the foot. Pressing down with the fingers, we're going to see if it's available for you. We're going to see if we can turn a little bit, starting from the back of our waist, and gradually move up our spine into our shoulders, then into our neck, and turn the head last. And then we gradually come back. We start with our head and sequentially move down our spine. And we're going to see if we can bow forward, keeping the side body long, the head of the arm bones back, and then bring the arms out in front of you. You may be able to walk them forward a little bit on your exhalation. And then we're coming up. This time we're turning first to our right leg, really rooting down on that left sitting bone as we bow forward, trying to remember to keep this left shoulder down so that your back is parallel to the floor and the ceiling. And this is another one where your nose goes below your knee, perhaps. And then we'll gradually come up turn to center, and then twist towards the left from around our waist, keeping the side body long, the head of the arm bones back. We're tipping forward. Rooting down or pulling down through that right sitting bone. Again, if that right shoulder has come up, you're inviting it down. And then we're inhaling, coming back up to center. We'll bring the feet out in front of us. We'll move down a little closer to the front of our mat. We'll grab onto the back of our legs. We'll roll sort of to the back edge of our sitting bones. And then if it's available for you, we're lifting up both of our legs. If it's not available for you, you can keep your one heel on the ground and then change it. If you want to intensify this stretch, you can let go of the back of your legs as long as you're squeezing your shoulder blades into your back, the small of your back in. We don't want to round it back in this pose. And breathe. And then we'll come up. That was the bridge pose. I mean, not the bridge pose, the little boat pose. So then we'll bring the soles of our feet on the ground and we'll gradually lower ourselves back down to the ground, bringing our heels in close to our sitting bones. So we're pushing down through the pads behind our toes, the heel. Then we're bringing our arms, pressing down with our forearms on the ground, the palms facing each other across your belly, pushing down on the back of your head. And then we're going to inhale and gradually lift the pelvis off the ground, coming up to the shelf of your shoulders. And then on the exhalation, coming back down. So we're doing a moving bridge. So we're lifting up the pelvis, coming up to the shelf of our shoulders on an inhale, and on the exhalation, coming back as sequentially as you can, one vertebrae at a time. And continue to move with your own breath for another few cycles of the moving bridge pose. If you would like, you continue on doing the moving bridge pose, but if it's available for you, you can pressing down on your feet, lifting up your sitting bones, your spine. And when you get to the top of your shoulders, the shelf of your shoulder, you're going to see if you can lengthen down your inner thighs to your knees and then press through your feet. And you might be able to come up a little higher. Then you're intertwining the fingers behind you. You might want to roll the shoulder under a little bit on both sides and press down with your arms on the ground, the back of your head, your feet. Otherwise, you can continue to do the moving bridge pose. And then on your next exhalation, we're releasing the hands and gradually come down one vertebrae at a time. Then we'll bring the knees into our chest, gently rock from side to side. This is the little boat pose. And then when you come back into the center, keep it there. Gently bring your feet down to the ground. We're going to do a bit of a tuck twist. So we're keeping our feet on the ground. We're going to lift up our pelvis, float it over to the right, and bring it back down. Then we're bringing our knees into the chest, dropping them over to the left. Trying to keep your right shoulder on the ground. And if you want a bit more of a stretch, you can put your hand on your left thigh, or your right thigh, your top thigh, and see if you can gently push that away from you. So this is the little boat twist. It's a little bit of a back bend. So see if you can feel the even spiral of your spine. Take a nice inhale in, and then on the exhalation, bring your knees back to the center. Bring your feet to the ground. Lift up your hips, bring them back to center, and then lift them up again and float them over towards the left. Then bring your knees into your chest, and on the exhalation, drop your knees over to right, towards the right, away from where you moved your hips. Try and keep that left shoulder on the ground. You can also turn your head to the left if that's available for you. And if you want a little bit more, you can bring the hand onto the top thigh and push that away with the hand. And again, this is a little boat twist. It's also a bit of a back bend. So see if you can feel the even spiral of that spine as it twists and back bends a little bit. And then inhale your knees back to center, bringing your hands around the back of the thighs, the front of the shins, whatever works for you in your arm length, and we'll rock from side to side a couple more times. And then when we come back into the center, we're going to bring our feet to the ground, and then we'll slide out one leg and then the other. The legs can be hip-width apart or a little further. We'll bring the hands out to your side, palms facing up, so we keep our heart and lung center open more. If they're down, there's a little bit more closure in around your pec muscles. If you have glasses on, you can take them off, resting them on your abdomen or the floor beside you. We're going to take a few moments to appreciate the work that we did in this practice. So see if you can feel your breath as it comes in and out through your nostrils. Take a few moments to scan your body and notice how it feels. You may get a sense that you're a little bit more open in your hips and in your spine, maybe even in your shoulders. We're going to take a few moments to see if we can soften the muscles all in the front of our body, starting from the top of our head and gradually move down through our body. And eventually we'll get to our heels and our toes. And as you're feeling the muscles are softening, get the sense that they're falling into your back body. And then we'll take a few moments to see if we can soften all the muscles in our back body, starting with our head, moving down our body till we gradually end with our heels. And as we're softening the muscles in our body, get the sense that they may be feeling like they're sinking down into the floor. Also get the sense that the floor is now supporting your relaxed body. Then gently wiggle your fingers and your toes. Slowly bend one leg, sliding the foot along the floor. Then gradually bend the other leg, sliding the foot along the floor. Slowly bring your knees into your chest, wrapping your hands around the front of the shins, the back of the thighs, and we'll rock again from side to side. And then when you're ready, roll over to whatever side feels the best for you, resting your head on your bottom arm. And then pushing yourself up to a seated position using your top arm. We'll come into a cross-legged position, and we'll gradually inhale our arms up over top of our head. And on the exhalation, they come down. And one more time, we'll inhale the arms up over top of our head. And on the exhalation, they'll come down to our heart center. So namaste. Thank you for joining me in this practice.